I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just to feed me, and what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan, your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be f***ing sour, take a cold shower. Scream until you're louder, work until you're prouder. And f*** all the doubters, they're just your downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking clowns who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. I'm just telling you to fight for your dreams, but it's not what it seems. Man, it's hard to be seen when everybody wants to be king. Yeah, they all wanna ring, yeah, we all wanna be free. So show me what you got, what you bring, how you fight in the ring, how you take a fucking swing. Do you got heart, are you mean? Got some scars, got some needs, are you willing to go bleed? I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking clowns who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking clowns who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown.
One by one, billion by billion, been holding up half the sky. Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Gene. You guys are watching Lubed for March the 20th, 2024, Season 3, Episode of 53. First as an Oiler. Now, honestly, guys, I could have named this so many different ways. It was kind of a boring first couple periods, was it not? I was actually quite disappointed with the lackluster and the excitement. It really kind of was this. Yeah, I was pretty bored with that first period. First, even in the second period a little bit. I don't know what it was. It was maybe the Oilers felt worried to lose to a team like the Montreal Canadiens, who are really struggling. I don't know what it was, but it lacked a lot of things. But I didn't want to be negative on the thumbnail. And when Adam Henrique scored the goal, his first as an Oiler, I was like, okay, that's the perfect thumbnail. I could have actually done the Draisaitl thumbnail with his game-winning goal in overtime, and we're going to get into all that. So anyway, guys, on this episode, we're going to discuss that game between the Edmonton Oilers and the Montreal Canadiens. Boosh ties coffee. So we're going to get into that a little bit. Of course, we're going to get into a new poll and into the standings and a rematch of the Buffalo Sabres tomorrow at the Rogers Place. This time they're on their ice, so let's see what happens. The last time they played was a few weeks ago, or about a month ago. I think it was March 9th, I think was the exact date. And it didn't go so well for the Oilers, so hopefully they can play a little bit of a better game against the Buffalo Sabres. And then, of course, final thoughts and everything regarding the Edmonton Oilers, and hopefully you guys will chime in. And we'll discuss everything Edmonton Oilers if you guys do. Currently, the Edmonton Oilers are second in the Pacific, fifth in the Western Conference, and have a 99.96% chance of qualifying for this year's Stanley Cup playoffs. They are also favored by a 66.5% chance to beat the Buffalo Sabres. And I thought that was a little bit of a high stat, considering Buffalo actually schooled us a month ago. And they look good. They look really good in that game. So we'll see what happens here going into it. Let's get into the program, guys. Let's talk about the Oilers and Habs. As always, when you go to a Rogers Place and you see the Toronto Maple Leafs, Montreal Canadiens come in, you always have half the building cheering for the Oilers, half the building cheering for the Leafs or the Habs. And you always hear those chants, let's go Oilers, let's go Habs, or whatever. I don't know what they were saying last night, but you'll always hear those chants just because if you really think about it, the Oilers came in 1979, I think it was, but the Montreal Canadiens and Toronto Maple Leafs have been around since the beginning of time. So obviously, prior to 1979, people in Edmonton, people in Calgary, they had to follow somebody, and they followed the Montreal Canadiens or the Toronto Maple Leafs or the Boston Bruins, New York Rangers, whoever was in the league at that time, and they kind of stuck loyal to that team, which I think is admirable. I really can't stand wagon jumpers that just, oh, they won the Stanley Cup, that's my team. No, that's kind of BS. Follow your team heart and soul all the way. I don't care who you follow, but follow your team heart and soul. Okay, anyway, enough babbling here. Let's get into this game against the Montreal Canadiens, as it turned out to be a decent game, but like I said, the beginning of the game was not very I don't know. It lacked punch. It lacked excitement. I was just kind of well, okay, here we go. There wasn't a lot of really good scoring chances. And I think it was just everybody was playing very defensive minded. Montreal respected Connor McDavid, respected Draisaitl, respected the weapons that the Oilers have. The Oilers, I think, were playing a game that they didn't want to lose to the Montreal Canadiens. So it was an interesting game. The Oilers end up winning this game in overtime, which, thank God they did. They nearly lost this game, which would have been very, very concerning, as they did take a 2-goal lead. Let's get into the scoring summary anyway, guys. As it started off with Connor McDavid absolutely razzling and dazzling and just working his magic. Beautiful, beautiful goal. This would have been his 26th of the year. I know that sounds like a low number at this point in time in the year. Assisted by Matthias Ekholm. 1-0 is your score at this point in the first period. We would go to the second period before we would see a second goal, and this is where you get the title page or the thumbnail. Adam Henrique gets his first as an Edmonton Oiler, his 19th of the year. Nice to see that it didn't take him nearly as long as it took Connor Brown, if you know what I mean. But yeah, he gets his 19th of the year, his first as an Oiler from Ekholm and Bouchard. And this would be Bouchard's 50th goal, and we're going to get into a segment on that. Or 50th assist, sorry. We're going to get into a segment on that just shortly, but just give me a moment here. All right. So that was the second period. It is now 2-0 Edmonton when the Montreal Canadiens would start cueing the comeback, and it would be Nick Suzuki from Yuri Slavkovsky and David Savard, 2-1 in the third period. And I'm thinking, okay, that's not good. They still have lots of time to work with because this was only 32 seconds into the period. Obviously, a little bit of concern on my part. And rightfully so, because the Montreal Canadiens would end up tying this game 3 minutes later when Caden Goulet would get the tying goal from Jake Evans and Jordan Harris. We have a 2-2 game. And I also got to remind you, this is also a team that doesn't have their head coach because Martin St. Louis has taken a leave of absence due to family reasons. So it turned out that this was a battle of junior battles. I can't remember who Montreal's interim coach is right now, but I do know that they played in the juniors when Knobloch was coaching the Otters. The coach of the Montreal Canadiens, who is the interim coach, was actually coaching against Knobloch. And lost, obviously, because Knobloch had McDavid at the time. So, anyway, little tidbit there. So, that would, I believe, tie it. Yes, that would tie it. And then that would take us to overtime, where Leon Draisaitl, in his normal spot that he always is, and this is what I am absolutely flabbergasted, how guys like Leon Draisaitl and Alex Ovechkin can sit at the same spot on the ice every time and get the job done. And goaltenders they just can't do nothing. So Leon Draisaitl gets the overtime winner from a beautiful pass from McDavid and Darnell Nurse. And ladies and gentlemen,
The winner in overtime!
yeah, Leon Draisaitl wins this one in overtime. It shouldn't have went to overtime, but it did go to overtime. And unfortunately, it did. But they got the 2 points out of it, which is the big critical factor of it all for the night. All right, guys. So in this game, we also witnessed Evan Bouchard tying Paul Coffey's Oiler record. Now, this isn't an NHL record. This is an Oiler record. But he is the only Oiler other than Paul Coffey to hit 50 assists in one season for a milestone. So congratulations to Evan Bouchard on an amazing accomplishment. I look at this team, and I look at so many comparables to the 80s team that I'm licking my chops thinking this is a Stanley Cup team. But there's so many good teams this year. So many good teams. But when you got Evan Bouchard doing that stuff, and you got McDavid doing what he's doing, and Draisaitl doing what he's doing, Nuge and Hyman having a career year, and now our goaltending is starting to look up. Like, how do you not have faith in this Edmonton Oiler team? So congratulations to Bouch. Bit of a different style. Coffey was more of a skater. Bouch is more of a bomber. But regardless, 50 assists for Bouch. He is the first player since Paul Coffey on the Edmonton Oilers now. I got to make sure I clarify that to achieve that milestone. So way to go, Bouch. You're in my good books with that one. All right, let's move on. I should have went to that one. Let's move on to the poll and the standings. So there's a new poll today. I was struggling with what I want to think of for a poll, but then it really hit me about 2 hours prior to shooting, and then that's when I came up with it. As this is the new poll question for today: which Edmonton Oiler captain is the best in franchise history? That's a tough one. It's a tough one to talk about. The options are Connor McDavid, the current captain, Mark Messier, Doug Weight, Jason Smith, Gator, also referred to as Gator, and Wayne Gretzky. Now, I don't want you guys to look at personal accomplishments. I want you guys to look at who was a better captain. Okay. I know Wayne Gretzky's done backflips and beyond, but really think about it. Who was a better captain? Who was a better leader in the room? And I know who I have in mind, but I'm not going to say it. I'd like to see what you guys think. Anyway, so in the standings right now, not much has changed. The Oilers are still second in the Pacific, 86 points. There is 3 teams now officially eliminated, as you can see in the red: Anaheim, Chicago, and San Jose. Man, can you imagine if Chicago wins the next draft lottery? Like, there's one coworker I work with. His name's Blair, and he absolutely just hates the system that they have in the NHL, where you constantly can re-win these things. It should be one win in 10 years, and that's it. And then you're automatically at the back of the bus. I kind of get it. But at the same time, it's not necessarily a sure win. We know as Edmonton Oiler fans, okay, we hit Taylor Hall. Taylor Hall was okay, but we ended up trading him. Like, he wasn't. If you look at that year, I forgot who was in that year, but there was better players than Taylor Hall. I know in the Nuge year, Nikita Kucherov was like something like 93rd, and he, I think, was the best pick out of it all. So it's still a hit and miss game. It's, and then Yakupov was an absolute failure. So it doesn't necessarily, no matter how much you project a player to be, it doesn't necessarily project that player to be what he can be at the NHL level. Just because he did certain things with the Sarnia Sting, and I'm referring to Neil Yakupov here. I mean, the NHL's a different beast. The NHL's a totally different beast. So I kind of understand his thing because he's a loyal Vancouver Canuck fan, and Vancouver Canucks apparently have never had a first round pick, which kind of sucks. So I kind of understand his aspect of things. That being said, it's not a sure bet. In 2016, when we drafted Connor McDavid, that was a sure bet, but most cases, it's not. You know, like if you think about it, in my lifetime, when it comes to generational players, I remember Sidney Crosby. That was a draft year that was really, really well known, and then Connor McDavid, and that's it. Like that's all I can think of from what I can recollect. So who knows? Who knows? All I can say is it's still a guessing game at how that team is going to perform. Okay, let's move on to what is up next as the Oilers take on the Buffalo Sabres, who they took on about a month ago and did lose. It wasn't exactly a pretty game. I was actually quite disappointed when I did that game. I do remember, but they are a good team. However, they are not as good now. I honestly believe Kyle Opozo was a huge factor for that team, and we'll see what the team now brings in front of them. As far as some of the statistical aspects go, okay, so we'll start off with the last time they met, and that was on March 9th. Buffalo ended up taking that game 3-2. That was like a month ago in Buffalo. Buffalo's record is 33-32-5, just above 500, but not enough to be in the playoffs. Their away record, 16-15-4, so they have a respectable away record. And in the last 10, they are 5-4-1 on a one-game losing streak. The Oilers at home have a record of 22-8-3. Their overall record is 41-21-4. The last 10, 7-1-2, and they are on a one-game winning streak as they barely beat the Montreal Canadiens. Again, I wasn't too pleased with their effort in that game. Hope that we can see better out of them. When it comes to the goaltending situation, Yuko Pekko Luukkonen. I love saying that name. I said that last time on this channel. He's got a very interesting name. His record is 23-17-3. His goals against average is .239 and a .915 save percentage with 5 shutouts. Pretty good goalie. It's a pretty good goalie. Stuart Skinner is likely to be behind the pipes for the Oilers. 30-13-4, 257 goals against average, a .908 save percentage, and 2 shutouts. So a little bit of a contrast in that. But we will see. We'll see how this all plays out, guys. Let's go into final thoughts and finish up the episode here and hopefully have a good outcome tomorrow night. Nothing has changed as far as the playoff alignment goes for the Western Conference. Vegas is still going to be against Vancouver, with Vancouver having home ice advantage. Colorado will have home ice advantage against the Dallas Stars still. Winnipeg is scheduled to play Nashville. If it was to start today, this is. And then Edmonton and LA, which will be always a hell of a series. And again, I do remind you guys, St. Louis, Minnesota, Seattle, Calgary, very doubtful. It would be like a miracle if they make it. But, stranger things have happened. Let's go into the comment section. Let's go into John Dryden. An adjustment for your recent wins should be rad. Vancouver fan. Well, there you go. Hey, you know what? Honestly, and I told my guys here, I work out in Vernon here. I would be more than happy to see a Canadian team. If the Oilers choke and they're out in the first round, I will follow Vancouver. I will follow Winnipeg. Wow, okay. I'm a sinner, I guess, in the Oiler world. But I would love to see, especially Vancouver, or actually, no, both teams, because they both have yet to win their first Stanley Cup. So I would be absolutely, totally 100% on board supportive for the Canucks or the Winnipeg Jets to do it. It's been what, 1994? 1994 was the last time a Canadian team won a Stanley Cup, and that was the Montreal Canadiens. 1994, that's over 30 years now. Like, it's time. It's time. And this year is lining up. The stars are all lining up. You got very good powerhouses. And yeah, like you got the Oilers, you got the Flames, or no, not the Flames. You got the Oilers, you got the Canucks, you got the Jets, you got the Leafs, right? You got some strong teams, and they're not just Canadian representatives. They're strong teams. So we'll see what happens here going forward. John Dryden, I meant the odds adjustment and the early draft picks. If you roll back the lucky. Yeah. They got to do something. At the end of the day, they got to do something about the whole draft system. I mean, the reason why they did a lottery and all that kind of stuff, and I suggested this with my coworker Blair, the one I was just mentioning. What they should do is have an even keel scale with the bottom 16, the guys that don't make the playoffs. Even keel scale, no adjustments just because you became 30th or whatever. Even keel. One of those 15 teams will win the draft lottery. I would like to see that. I think that would be fair because you're still – the reason why they do this draft lottery is Pittsburgh Penguins way back in the day totally tanked, totally got rid of all their players. This is before Mario Lemieux. And they tanked to get Mario Lemieux. And it was brutal. It was embarrassing for the league. They actually literally traded all their players so that they wouldn't score so that they could get Mario Lemieux. It's kind of so if you think about it, what they were doing back then, oops, I just knocked over something. What they were doing back then is kind of something similar to the cap circumvention that they're doing currently these days with going 19, 18 million over the cap and all that. It's a way of manipulating the rules to work for your benefit. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, I think I am going to wrap this up for tonight. I rambled on a little bit longer than I thought I would. I hope you guys enjoy this channel. Those of you that are my new subscribers, welcome. I hope you enjoy it. So those of you that have or are watching this for the very first time, if you like the content that I bring, feel free to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. It would be much appreciated. We will talk, I guess, probably Friday night. I'm going to try to come on, and we're going to discuss the Buffalo Sabres game. Until then, guys, you guys have a great night. We will talk soon.